What's up, everybody? This is Markus, your MTT coach of the Academy of Poker, with another explanatory video for the day. Today's topic: how to spot player types. Been asked this quite a lot, how it's easy to use things, how to spot how players seem to play. So if they're really aggressive, if they're rather tight, or if it's a mix of them, and how to put the notes down for that. So I thought, let's make a short overview about that. As always, before we jump into it, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Like the video, helps a lot for our channel to grow. And of course, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. We're more than happy to answer them. But now let's get into it. Hi guys, my name is Markus. I'm an MTT coach of the Academy of Poker, and we have a great offer for you. Our current Academy of Poker course will only cost you 200 euros, but if you do it the right way, you can even get it for free. All you have to do is hit the link in the description below, get in contact with our managers, and you can start right away. And now, enjoy the upcoming video. Let's start with the easy visible spotting. So I guess if you see my stream, I do that quite often because I always tag people through some early things. So I'll just put them down here. As you see, really big open raises. This is the first one. On the one side, they go for these because they are afraid to get too many calls. So this can often happen with really just big hands. So like aces, kings, ace, king. They are afraid to do so to get 2, 3, 4 calls and then have really tough spots on the flop. But a lot of times those people, they just use these huge open raises in general. So they don't really have their ranges clear and they just want to play a hand, but they most likely don't want to play with 3, 4 people. They want to play heads up or with 3 people. Or they just want to play big pots no matter what. So in general, those players are loose aggressive, so they will play with a big range, and aggressive is because they raise so big, they're gonna build up a big pot already before the flop is even shown. A pot size that is normally just, in normal cases, you will have that pot size on the turn after even a flop c-bet and a call, if even then. So they are loose aggressive. Then we have the other loose player who is limping a lot, and almost in every position he limps. He almost never open raises, which means he just want to play a lot of pots, but he's afraid to put money in. So those kinds of players were called loose passive. Pretty easy to see, and you can give them maybe 1 or 2 times when they start limping, because some pros have some limping strategy in there as well. So at least wait 1 or 2 hands before you do that. But if you once see a showdown and he wakes up in an early position limping 7-4 suited, then it's pretty easy to see that he's a fish, he's a fun player, and you can give him that tag. Also make sure to note which kind of hands he had there, so you will not be afraid and maybe overfold hands in middle position just because he's limping. Next up, when you have people that almost never open, also, if they're on the button and everybody already folded, because on the button you have about the biggest range to open, and even then they fold way too many times, and they often fold their blinds. So when they're in the big blind and you see, and you have your stats and you see that he folded like 7 out of 10 times, there must be something wrong. And the problem here is that he is way too tight and also probably too passive, because the difference here between tight passive and tight aggressive is that at least the tight aggressive players take some more chances here. And if you see here, he just folds way too much, and then even isn't really aggressive in other spots as well. So those players are tight passive for sure. A bit harder to see ones. Whoops. Go back here. We have calling stations, which are also loose passive, where you see that they often get to showdown with pretty weak holdings. So as said, you have the 7-4 suited, for example. In early position, he limped 7-4 suited, and then he called 3 times on king, queen, 7, jack, 8, or something like that. And he somehow gets to showdown, maybe picked up a flush draw on the turn with a 7 to go. But yeah, he just called 3 times with bottom pair on on a board where your range is way bigger, you easily win with like ace king or king queen or whatever there, and he still gets there. But good thing is, you know that he's calling quite often, which means you will make quite some money with your premium holdings or with your value hands versus him. So you can give him the calling station tag, you know he's loose passive, and it will be really, really easy to play versus him after you make the note. Next up, you have the maniac, the loose aggressive player, where stuff like this happens. So you have that he often, sorry, that he often just wakes up with bluffs in spots where it just doesn't make too much sense to bluff. He doesn't have any blockers. He's way out of his range. We already called twice, or we even check raised him on a spot where it's really hard for us. For example, when you check raise the turn, it's a lot of times for value. You don't see that many players who use check raises on turn for bluff. So that he still gets there, and then and then he raises the river again in spots where it just doesn't make any sense. Also using big sizings the whole time, and just again waking up with hands that he just shouldn't have played, that he should have just folded pre-flop or at least easily folded in some situation. Those are the maniacs. They are really aggressive, and the best way here to play is for sure like with your premiums. You know that he will bet a lot, so you can slow play them when you flop a set, for example, or so, or you turn a flush or whatever. He will often bet, so you don't need to go for the big bets on the river yourself, but you could check to him, and there's a really big percentage that he will bluff. And last but not least, we got some help from the tracking software, because the stats we have show us the way that people probably are playing. And the best way is here of having a clear call on how the opponent is playing, and also we need to have quite some hands. So that's really important, that it is a good thing to have some hands on them. And as you see, we have 250 hands on this, and those examples 148 and 226, which is quite good. Of course, it can always be more, but this is already a good start. And as you see here, those three are the preflop raise, the VPIP, and the 3-bet. Those are pretty solid. So here there's not that much to see actually. And this is like in the way, this is actually from my own hold'em manager, as you see. And here in those numbers, you see if they are on the orange felt, they are pretty much where they should be. If they are red, they are too low. And if they're green, they are too high. Or actually the other way around. They are too low if they are red, and they are too high if they're green. So there you can see some things already. Here there's not that much to see. What you can see maybe here, and here it's even better, that he isn't, because that is the post-flop aggression factor. So how often he bets. And you see his 3-bet is pretty big, over 150 hands, 3-betting 15%. And that way you can see, okay, he seems to be really aggressive. You can also just open that up to see in which positions he's doing it, because when you see a 3-bet from him in middle position versus early position, it's probably still going to be really good, and this guy will probably just be in the late positions, 3-betting a lot. But then you also see that he isn't really aggressive. So he is 3-betting a lot, but he's not really aggressive. So it seems like pre-flop, he's pretty aggressive, fairly loose, because he's choosing like too many hands for 3-bets. But after the flop, he's not really continuing a lot, which means if he is continuing, you can give him a pretty good hand in that occasion. And here another example to see. This is the steal and fold to steal percentage. So you see with 38, that is not that big. He's not stealing a lot, which means he's fairly passive, but he's also pretty much never folding. So here you can see he's passive in the way of open raising, but he's pretty loose when it comes to the big blind. So in that case, he's fairly more a calling station, because he doesn't try to raise pre-flop, but he's defending his big blind so often, and he wants to see flops and he wants to play. And some people just think, oh, I have to defend my big blind because I already put some money in. And yeah, sometimes they think that way, which doesn't make really sense. Of course, you get a good price sometimes, but then you still have to have some range. But in that case, you can at least see some statistics here that those people pretty much, or you can have some help on how to play him. In this case, you should probably not raise that much, but have a tighter range if he's in the big blind. Here you can 4-bet more, for example, or you can be more aggressive if you see that he checks the flop and you are in position. You can bet more often even you haven't hit, because he's not continuing that often. And those are just a few tips for that. As always, guys, this is the end of the video. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to leave a comment in case you have any question. And as always now, guys, have a good day. Good luck at the tables, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye.